All right, welcome in everyone to another deep dive. Today we're looking at something pretty amazing, I think.
Yeah.
Secondary metabolites. Have you heard of these?
So yeah,
So these are, well, they're basically natural compounds, right?
they are. Yeah, they're produced by organisms, plants, microbes, animals.
Yeah. And they're kind of like these chemical factories that
Yeah.
create all these different molecules.
Yeah.
And what's really fascinating is that we found that they play this huge role
Right.
in medicine.
I
That's
guess.
what we're diving into today.
Yeah, a lot of our most important medicines
Yeah.
come from these secondary
I
metabolites.
was reading up on it. I mean, I knew a little bit, like morphine, right? From
Yeah.
poppies.
Yeah, yeah.
Like I knew that was plant-based,
Yeah.
but I had no idea how deep it goes.
It's really amazing.
Yeah, let's talk about some examples.
Okay.
Because, morphine, like I said, comes from the opium poppy,
Yeah.
pain relief, right?
Yeah.
Essential.
Exactly. And that's an alkaloid, morphine.
Okay.
It's got nitrogen in it, often these alkaloids do. And they have really potent effects on our bodies.
And then you've got things like
Yeah.
quinine, right?
Yeah, quinine. So that comes from the cinchona tree,
Okay.
the bark, and that's been used for centuries to treat malaria.
Malaria.
Yeah,
Wow, and that's also an alkaloid?
that's an alkaloid as well, yeah.
Okay.
And then you've got another anti-malarial drug, artemisinin,
Okay.
which comes from the Artemisia annua plant.
So we're talking about plants and trees here.
Yeah, plants.
Incredible.
And artemisinin is a terpenoid.
Okay.
And terpenoids are often made up of these isoprene units. They have these distinct structures.
So different classes, right, of these
That's right, yeah,
compounds
yeah.
doing these amazing things.
Yeah.
And even in the fight against cancer, right?
Perhaps,
We see these compounds playing this huge role.
yeah.
I mean, you've got paclitaxel, also known as Taxol,
Yeah, Taxol, that's a big one.
from the Pacific yew tree.
Right,
And then you've got the vinca alkaloids.
Yes, vincristine and vinblastine
Vincristine, vinblastine.
from the Madagascar periwinkle.
These are all big names, right?
Yeah, yeah. These are major cancer drugs.
I mean, it's just amazing to me that nature has provided these tools.
It really is. Yeah.
And it's not just plants.
No,
Yeah.
you've got microbes as well.
Okay.
Bacteria, fungi.
So like antibiotics?
Yeah. So penicillin.
I mean, everybody knows penicillin, right?
Everyone knows penicillin, right? And that comes from the Penicillium fungus.
Fungus. Okay.
And then you've got erythromycin
Okay.
from a bacterium called Saccharopilospora,
Okay.
and tetracyclines from Streptomyces bacteria.
And so those are those also alkaloids?
So a lot of these are actually polychides,
Okay.
or derived from polyketides.
Polypeptides.
Yeah, and those often have these complex chain-like structures.
It's mind-blowing, like
a whole, yeah.
the diversity here.
It's a whole world of chemistry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we're just scratching the surface, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And then you even have, like going back to different kinds of medical treatments, immunosuppressants.
Yes.
You've got things like cyclosporine.
Yeah, cyclosporine, which comes from a fungus,
Okay.
and rapamycin,
Okay.
which comes from a bacterium.
And those are essential for things
Yeah,
like
transplant medicine.
those plants, yeah.
Making sure that the body doesn't reject the organ.
Right. And even like cholesterol lowering statins. I mean,
Yeah.
I take a statin, right?
Yeah.
Love a statin.
And lovastatin originally comes from a fungus as well.
It's just this incredible testament to like
It is, yeah.
nature's pharmacy.
It's amazing what nature can do.
And so we've been talking about like how all these medicines come from these natural sources,
Right.
but it's not just about finding them in nature anymore, right?
Yes,
It's
certainly.
about like enhancing
Yeah.
the way we get them.
Right, so biotechnology.
Yeah, like walk me through that a little bit.
Okay, so one thing that's really exciting is metabolic engineering.
Okay.
And this allows us to actually modify the metabolic pathways in organisms.
Okay.
So we can increase production of a particular secondary metabolite,
So we can make more of it.
make more of it, or we can even create new ones.
Wow.
New versions, slightly modified, that might have even better properties.
That's incredible.
Yeah, and then you've got synthetic biology,
Okay.
which is like taking it a step further.
Yeah.
So we can design from scratch
Wow.
new biological systems
Yeah.
to produce these compounds.
It's like building little factories
It is, yeah, like tiny little
that
factory.
can pump these things out.
Exactly.
And then I was also reading about plant cell culture.
Yes, yeah.
How does that fit in?
So that's a way to grow plant cells
Okay.
in a controlled environment.
Okay.
And sometimes it's hard to extract a compound from a whole plant
Ro-
in its natural environment.
Yeah, yeah.
So plant cell culture or tissue culture or organ culture
Hmm.
allows us to produce these compounds in a more controlled way.
So it's like we're taking what nature has given us
Right.
and kind of refining it, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
Making it better.
Yeah.
And it's interesting because, like, we're talking about all this high-tech stuff, but
Yeah.
there's also this connection to traditional medicine,
Oh, absolutely.
right? Like, people have been using plants for their medicinal properties
For centuries, yeah.
for centuries, right? So how does that tie into all of this?
So there are these fields, ethnobotany and ethnopharmacology,
Okay.
and they study these traditional uses of plants.
Okay.
And that can actually provide clues
Okay.
for scientists.
So it's like this, it's like
You got-
traditional knowledge
Yeah, exactly.
guiding us.
Guiding modern research.
It is amazing compounds.
Yeah.
I love that.
It's really fascinating.
It's like we're not just like inventing this stuff out of thin air.
No, right.
We're learning from what nature has already done.
Yeah, building on that knowledge.
So big picture, right?
Yeah.
What makes these secondary metabolites so valuable for treating human diseases?
So the key is really their chemical diversity
Okay.
and their biological specificity.
Okay.
So over millions of years of evolution,
Yeah.
organisms have developed all these different compounds
Right.
to interact with very specific targets
Yeah.
in biological systems.
That makes sense.
And that's why they're so valuable for treating all these complex human diseases.
Wow. So to wrap things up,
Yeah.
it sounds like secondary metabolites are way more than just like a small part of the pharmaceutical industry.
Right.
They're like this fundamental pillar.
Yeah, absolutely.
They're responsible for so many of the drugs we use today,
Right.
and they're crucial for the medicines of the future.
Exactly. They represent this huge potential for future medical breakthroughs.
And that's what's really exciting, I think, is
Yeah.
like, we've just scratched the surface.
Yeah.
And with biotechnology and natural product chemistry and all these advancements,
Yeah. Who knows what we'll discover?
who knows what we're going to find, right?
Right. It's an exciting field.
It really is. So there you have it. That's our deep dive into secondary metabolites.
Fascinating stuff.
I hope you learned something new.
Me too.
I know I did. Until next time.
Take care.